What's going on, Dolphins fans? It's Connor from the Dolphins Dive, and in today's video, I'm going to be grading Miami Dolphins offensive players based off of this past season and kind of recap this season as a whole and grade them on kind of a school system, A, B, C, D, and an F. So without further ado, I'm going to hop right into today's video. So I'm going to start with the trenches, and I'm going to save the best for the last, which is the quarterback position, as well as grading Mike McDaniel as a play caller. So starting on the offensive line, I'm going to start with the center position, starting with Connor Williams, whose season obviously ended unfortunately with the torn ACL. But up to that point, aside from the other injury he sustained, he had a great season, was tremendous in the run game as well as in the pass game. So he gets a flat A. Connor Williams had a great season. He's a pending free agent. Should be interesting to see what the Dolphins do with him, if they choose to try and bring him back or not. The backup center, Liam Eichenberg, who came into the season as public enemy number one and left it in most Dolphins fans' eyes as pretty good. He played all over the offensive line, left guard, center, right guard, and I think he held his own. Obviously, he wasn't perfect by any means, but considering the expectations, I think we could all agree that he had a lot of growth, and he played very injured towards the back half of the season and still did a decent job. So I think it's commendable, and I'm going to give him a B+. Now, this doesn't mean he's a B+ player, but giving him a grade on his season, given all the circumstances and the expectations, he has a B+ in my eyes. Now for the guard position on the offensive line, we had 4 different players play over 100 snaps on the offensive line. So that's how I'm kind of doing it. If they played over 100 snaps, they're on this list. If not, they're not. So starting with Isaiah Wynn, who went down with a season-ending quad injury, former Patriot player. We signed him and we weren't sure what position he was going to play. He was formerly a tackle. He played guard in college. And the Dolphins had him at left guard, and he was pretty good up until the Eagles game where he obviously sustained the injury. But I give him a B+ on the season. I'm not going to act like I watched every single one of his snaps, but overall, I thought he did pretty good. I don't think he let up a sack or anything, and he was pretty good against the run. Obviously, taking into account he sustained an injury, that's going to kind of hurt his grade a little bit, but once again, also a free agent. Second starting offensive lineman that's a free agent. It should be interesting to see what the Dolphins do. Speaking of free agents, Robert Hunt, the next guard on this list, I'm also giving him a B+. I was on the teetering edge of giving him an A-A. But like I said, I think we all know availability is the best ability, and he's been available his entire career, so it's not necessarily fair to flack him this season, but he did sustain multiple injuries that kept him off the field for most of the season. But when he's on the field, he's always very good. He holds his own. He's mean when he has to do double teams and whatnot. So Big Bobby Hunt gets a B+ on the season. Hopefully the Dolphins can bring the homegrown talent back, but that should be seen. Next, offensive guard, Robert Jones, who played left guard, I believe, the entire season. Once again, sustained an injury. Missed the first couple of weeks and then came back, and I don't remember if he got hurt again, but he gets a C+ for me. And last but not least, Lester Cotton, who I think played left guard and right guard. He gets a C. He was probably our worst offensive lineman starting-wise all year. That's not to say he was awful, but he was far from the best. But he's still young, still developing. He has some playing time, so it should be interesting to see what he does in future years, if they plan on keeping him or if they have a plan for a starting role. Like I said, this entire offensive line has got a bunch of free agents and potential retirements all over it, so we're going to need the next man to step up, or we're going to have to nail our draft picks or get good cheap free agents. It should be interesting really to see how it handles. I've got a lot of free agency content coming your way, so make sure you like and subscribe and turn on the notification bell to stay up to date with all Dolphins content. Now for the tackle position, the most important position in most people's eyes in terms of the offensive line, we got Teron Armstead, who you could argue probably had the worst year of his career. As we all know, Teron Armstead battles through injuries. I don't think he was healthy at all this year. He got injured in training camp, came back injured, playing through injuries. He's got like 5 different injuries. You could tell he was getting beat more often than he usually does. And when you're dealing with that many injuries, you're getting older, it happens. And now his future is up in the air, contemplating retirement. Everyone is freaking out about the salary cap and what we do with Teron Armstead, and we're stuck with this contract. We're not. Dolphins, if he retires, it basically gets treated as a post-June 1st cut, which if he doesn't retire, the Dolphins could still do that because it'll free up cap space and give them more availability. A lot of people like to shit on Tua. I love I love Teron Armstead. I think he's a warrior for battling through all those injuries. But a funny moment in the Chiefs game, and everyone wants to put it simply onto it and Mike McDaniel, which is silly. It's a team game. There's a 4th and 2, I believe, in the second quarter, and the Dolphins go for it. The Chiefs rush 2 people. Teron Armstead gets beat immediately within like under 2 seconds. Tua has to step up into a QB spy and tries to throw it to Tyreek. But yeah, it's because Tua sucks and Mike McDaniel sucks. It's like if someone doesn't block, bad plays are going to happen. They rushed 2 and they got pressure. There's an issue there. So, like I said, I give all the props in the world to Teron Armstead for battling, but he obviously wasn't at his best this year, and who knows if that's the last time he plays in the NFL. Next player at the tackle position, Kendall Lamb, which was Teron Armstead's backup. He did a very good job in my eyes backing up Teron Armstead. When he was the backup, you could hardly tell there was really a misstep taken, and he stepped up. He even played, I think, left guard a couple games, but he's a very good player that showed his value. I do want to make note, the offensive line's job was made easy based off of the scheme this year, and that's why I think that's where a huge growth spot for the Dolphins needs to be, is because the offensive line's going to look good if you're getting the ball out in under 2 seconds, as well as the fact that all of the runs are basically trying to eliminate the offensive line's impact and kind of just running to the outside, which, yes, the offensive line still needs to execute. They have double teams and whatnot, but they're not necessarily getting run behind exclusively. But side point. But Kendall Lamb's grade's going to be a B, just a flat B. I have it here on the sheet as a C+, but he did better than that in my eyes. And last offensive tackle is Austin Jackson, who had a breakout year, for all being honest. Him and Liam Eichenberg came into the season in the Dolphins fans' doghouse, and Austin Jackson's leaving it as our future right tackle, which is to his blind side. He got himself a new contract, and he was a baller, honestly. There was a lot of good things that he put on tape, a lot of him mauling in the run game, which you like to see. I remember exclusively, I don't know if it was the Bills game, the first Bills game, but I saw him put someone on his ass. Like, Austin Jackson had a great year. He stayed healthy. I think he only missed 1 game. But overall, great job from Austin Jackson. Love to see that development. And that's a good showing on the coaching staff and Mike McDaniel. Next position, we're going to go with the tight ends. There's only 2 tight ends that qualified, Durham Smythe and Julian Hill. Durham Smythe gets a B+ in my books. Everyone's saying the Dolphins, all they need is a tight end. All they need is a tight end. It's silly. This offense is predicated on being able to run the ball first. Durham Smythe did a great job being able to run block and being an extension in that game. And then when his number was called in the passing game, he stepped up. I don't remember any bad drops. I think he made some good contested catches when it actually mattered. Obviously, he's not the best receiver or the best after the catch. Obviously, there's more meat left on the bone at that position, but you're going to be hard-pressed to find someone more impactful in the run game that also provides that upside in the receiving game. If the Dolphins can get it, amazing. Go out and get it. I'm not saying that they shouldn't, but people are acting like it's just a receiver position when it's far from that. And then Julian Hill, the undrafted free agent, came out and took rookie camp by storm and did a great job when he was healthy. He obviously sustained injuries like basically our entire roster. Once again, solid blocker. Receiving game, once again, similar to Smythe, nothing to necessarily shout out about, but he's got a physicality to him that you'd like to see, and that's kind of what you want to see from the Dolphins position, our tight end position, to get to that next step, is really more run after the catch, breaking tackles, really being a physical tone setter. Now onto the wide receiver position, and we've got 6 players that qualify, starting with Tyreek Hill. He gets an A+. Basically, my qualification for an A+ is there's really nothing else more you could have asked for them. And I think that's fair to say from Tyreek Hill, but there is improvement that needs to be made. Really, the only flack I have with Tyreek Hill this season is his drop issue. It was clear he had multiple bad moments where drops killed us, from the Eagles game to, I forget the Bills game, I believe, or Ravens. But he had drop issues in multiple games. In certain plays that kind of led to spirals. The Chiefs game, the first time we played them, obviously Tyreek Hill's a superstar. He gets away from that because he's so valuable, but he had bad plays. The strip 6, he had a drop in that game. Just those kind of issues you want to see eliminated, but he is the best receiver in all football. I don't know if there's a receiver that brings more fear to a defense than Tyreek Hill. He can take the top off against you can't play one-on-one against him. You just can't. and he's tremendously valuable to this team. Jalen Waddle gets a B+. Had a bit of a down year. I know he was frustrated. He was obviously dealt with a couple injuries. I think he had a rib injury and then had the ankle at the end. And you saw the Dolphins offense fall off towards the end of the year when him and Tyreek weren't fully healthy. I saw a great graphic on Twitter and basically showed the Dolphins' success against man coverage in comparison to how often Tyreek and Waddle are on the field. And it's clear when they're on the field, teams really suck against playing man against us. But with the injuries, they both were barely able to consistently be on the field. And that's when teams played a lot of man coverage and really just locked us up because other people couldn't get open. And spoiler alert, once again, for the Tua haters, you can't really throw to people when they're not open. So, I don't know what you want him to do. He's not Lamar Jackson. No one else is Lamar Jackson. So, sorry. Next receiver is Cedric Wilson. He gets a B in my books. He made a lot of good plays this season. In the run game, he was pretty impactful, blocking. Good in the receiving game. He made a couple tough contested catches to get touchdowns. So I think he had a good year. Was viewed on the outs at the beginning of the season because his cap hit, but they restructured his contract, and he contributed, especially with Eric Ezukanma going down, who's a guy I expect to get more playing time when he's healthy next year. Cedric Wilson was a clutch third receiver to have. Braxton Berrios, very similar to Cedric Wilson. Didn't get the ball a lot, but when he got it, it counted. He made some clutch catches, but nothing crazy to write off or home about. River Craycraft suffered injuries, was out most of the year, but was impactful in terms of his run blocking. He's always good at that. Made a couple clutch catches, but once again, nothing to write home about. He gets a C+. Braxton gets a B too, if I didn't mention that. And then last but not least, Robbie Chosen gets a C. Not much to say or add there. He had the good catch against the Broncos, but aside from that, he didn't really do much. So that's all I got. Raheem Mostert gets an A+. Like I said, what constitutes getting an A+ in my books is really there's not much else he could have done this season. I think he did great. He stayed healthy majority of the season. He scored touchdowns. He ran physical. He had speed. It's not like he had a fumbling problem. He was good out of the backfield receiving the ball. There's really nowhere else I could have seen him improve this season. Raheem Mostert gets an A+. Next is Devon Achane, the rookie, who took the league by storm with his incredible speed. He is a dynamite with the ball in his hands, but he does have a bit of a durability issue because of how small he is, so he gets an A in my books. But really just look to see him grow as a player. Hopefully he just can stay more healthy, and maybe that constitutes changing his role to maybe more of like a scat back, just receiving out of the ball, like out of the backfield, kind of maybe like just a joker position where running back, receiver, just kind of get him 10 touches a game, whether it's out of the backfield. Obviously, you want a running back that can get 20+, but I don't know if his body can hold up for that. Jeff Wilson gets a B. I really wish the Dolphins gave him more of an opportunity. Whenever the ball was in his hands, he did a good job. He was our most physical running back, but we really didn't use him, which was frustrating. I'm a big fan of Jeff Wilson, but he's probably going to get cut because of his cap number. And then last but not least, Savon Ahmed gets a B. When he was healthy, he actually had a great season. It sucks that his season ended the way it did. He was having a good year for the undrafted free agent that just never went away for the Dolphins. He stayed on this team and performed, but he obviously went down with that injury. And then fullback Alec Ingold gets an A. Once again, a guy that you would have liked to see be utilized more. He wasn't. I don't really see much more he could have done besides maybe be more durable in terms of the fact he was always on the field. I can't knock him for his toughness or anything, but maybe the reason he wasn't used as much was because of the injuries he suffered. I think he had a foot injury and something else he was dealing with. Now, for the moment we've all been waiting for, quarterback Tua Tagovailoa, what is his grade? And I'm giving Tua an A-. Now, might be controversial. Tua just put up the best quarterback season for a Miami Dolphins quarterback since Dan Marino was quarterback, period. So I don't care what you have to say, like that he put up a great quarterback season, especially in accordance to what we've seen as Dolphins fans. He put up a good year, led the league in passing. He had the turnover issues earlier in the season, and he really cleaned it up. The only knock I really have on Tua this year was just he pressed a little too much. But aside from that, he was tremendous with his accuracy. He was able to push the ball downfield, played in rhythm, in timing. He was able to go through his progressions. Obviously, were there times where I think maybe he got the ball out of his hands too fast? Sure, but he was also making completions. So just another year in the system I think will benefit him. Stop trying to press so much. and really just continue to grow. I have all the faith in the world into Tagovailoa. And next is Mike McDaniel as a play caller, and he's getting the same grade, A-. The best, I think we technically led the league in offense, but we struggled against good teams. There's no doubt about it. And I think Mike McDaniel has some room to grow, and I think he will. It's going to be his third year play calling ever, and I think he'll learn from his mistakes. He learned from his mistakes, and he'll take this off season to learn and grow from that. And really, I think he just needs to simplify the offense in terms of, like, let's run some more in between the tackle runs, have some more pure drop back passing game, and just kind of simplify the base scheme, and then be able to be eccentric in terms of our outside of the scheme plays that you kind of do on a week-to-week basis, and not they're not like your every play plays. I'm forgetting the word, but basically just to, like, his counter plays, for a lack of a better term. I'm struggling thinking of the word, so that's on me. But those are the offensive grades. I'll come out with the defensive grades later this week. I appreciate you guys for watching. Like and subscribe to help the channel grow. And until next time, I'll catch y'all.